So good morning, everyone. My name is Caterina Scarpati. I'm from the SOR Change Management team, and welcome to this last Q&A clinic for Substance Organization Referentials Management Service for this year 2025. Today with me, I have SMS, RMS experts. So I have Pedro Batista and Jaume Gonzalez. For OMS, the product owner, Deborah Martins Braga, is not available today, but we will have Isabel Chicharo, who will answer the high-level questions for OMS. However, please note, in case we are not able to provide an answer to most detailed OMS questions, we will note them down and make sure that they get addressed as first thing in the next Q&A clinic, which is already scheduled for the beginning of January. So just as a disclaimer, please note that this session is being recorded and we will make the recording available through EMA corporate website and EMA YouTube channel. In order to ask your questions, we will invite you to use the interaction tool Slido. And as usual, the interaction with Slido is voluntary and you may opt in to remain anonymous. And if you choose to use Slido, you consent to the processing of your personal data as explained in the Slido section of the specific data protection notice you can find on EMA website. So this Slido code for today is SORQA1512. You can insert this code in the website slido.com. Otherwise, you can just join the Slido session by scanning the QR code you see on this slide. In Slido, you will be able to directly send your question or upvote questions that have already been asked on the same topic maybe you want to hear answered. I will show the questions on the screen in order of upvotes. So the questions with most upvotes will get answered sooner. And EMA colleagues here will verbally address the top voted questions live. As mentioned, the topics for this session are OMS, RMS, and SMS, and 4 general questions. While please note that for questions related to PMS or XCVMPD, dedicated live Q&A sessions are set up. So, just a recap of upcoming Q&A clinics. You can see a long list of scheduled clinics here. This is because new dates are available for 2026 finally, since we saw that in this quarter, the Q&A clinics for SOR and XCVMPD proved to be really useful to you in a monthly cadence. We decided to replicate this format for 2026. For now, we have set up the clinics for the first half of the year. So you are already able to register via EMA website to the WebEx sessions from January to May. As mentioned, the next clinic for SOR will be on the 13th of January. And as I mentioned earlier, in case today, since the product owner for OMS is not available, we will note down any question for which we will need to consult her and answer these questions as first thing on 13th of January. So we have you covered. Then for PMS and XCVMPD, we still have 1 Q&A clinic for each set up for this year. So this will take place on Thursday. So in case you have any pending question you would like to get answered on PMS or XCVMPD, please join them. Lastly, we have also set up all these quarterly SPOR and XCVMPD status update webinars for 2026. The first one will take place on the 28th of January, and the other ones are set up for 13th of April, 8th of July, and 7th of October 2026. You can already access event pages for all these webinars and register to the WebEx sessions. Before we start with our Q&A, as a last reminder of our SPOR and XCV-MPD satisfaction survey, which was launched on the 8th of October and which is continuously open for you to leave your feedback on your user experience on any SPOR and XCV-MPD service. So we constantly check the survey, so please leave your feedback there. We will make sure to take your feedback into account to always improve our services. And the closure date for this survey is 8th of March. Then it will be closed for 1 month and be reopened during the SPOR and XCV-MPD status update webinar, which will take place on 13th of April. Okay, so it's time now for our actual Q&A. I see we already have some questions, so let's start. First question, does a name change of a manufacturer result in a new org ID? Is the old org ID then set to inactive? We have seen examples where both the old and new names and their org IDs were active.
So generally speaking, when we update the name of a legal entity is just a normal update. We wouldn't set it to inactive and we wouldn't create another one. So in theory, if you've seen old and new names, either we haven't been informed that it's the same legal entity that was being updated, or there's something that we need to investigate. But generally, a name change of a legal entity results in an update to the same org ID. We don't inactivate, we don't create a new org ID.
Thank you. In the case of a name or address change with the same physical location for a manufacturer, does this result in a new start date or can the old one be retained?
Start date, we don't have start dates in OMS. So when we change the name, as I mentioned, it's in an update to the same organization. If we change an address, then it's normally a new location that we create. In terms of manufacturing authorizations or inspections, that's where you would have a start date. And probably the new physical location would have to be inspected and would have a new authorization being granted, but that's not really the scope of OMS.
Thank you. Is it a correct understanding that there is a loc ID change when the postal code or street address changes without any other change?
Here, if it's a minor change, if it's just a correction of postcode and street address, and we're not changing the physical location, but the street, for example, has been renamed, again, we would do an update. There are cases where we're not absolutely sure, and in that case, just to be cautious, we might create a new loc ID, but when we're absolutely sure that it's a minor correction of the postcode, street name has changed, the name itself, we do an update and retain the same loc ID.
Okay, thank you. Is there still an extensive update planned for the following list? Materials, packaging, and unit of presentation. Dossiers cannot contain more detail compared to these lists.
Okay, so materials is currently under the review. We've actually did a couple of reviews in the past few months, and we are about to finalize the current review. So the list, no, I'm sorry. Just forget what I said. I was talking about manufacturing activities. Materials, we will start the review around January. We are in the process of identifying experts for materials, shelf life, and special precautions. So it seems that we already have a group of experts for those three lists, and the review will start in January. And the expectation is that the review should finish around end of March 2026. So apologies for my wrong information earlier. Now, packaging and units of presentation, they're both lists from EDQM. So EMA is not the owner of those lists. So in principle, as soon as there is a change in EDQM, who is the data owner, that those changes should be also replicated in RMS. We are not aware of any plans for any extensive review of any of those two lists. Now, we are aware of the fact that sometimes there are different levels of granularity between the standard terms and the terms that are used in product information. We are aware of that. For the moment, there's no plan for any major review of that. This is an issue that we are aware of and that is being discussed. But the short answer is there's no planned in-depth review of those two lists. And there shouldn't necessarily be the same level of granularity in the SPC and in RMS, or in the official lists. So that's something that is a fact that we already know. It doesn't have to be exactly 100% the same terminology or the same level of granularity in both places.
Okay, thank you. By when are all fields below packaged medicinal product and package description, such as package item, container, or package component, required to be completed?
This is PMS, right?
Yeah, I think that one is for me. So we don't have a date. We have not defined a deadline by when these fields will have to be completed. You need to take into account that the enrichment is something that we will be doing maybe in iterations. We have also not defined that yet. What you need to provide is the packages and the package description and then the pack size through the product UI or in the API, but we have not discussed yet with the SMEs or internally when the additional information for the components or containers will have to be provided. So we will let you know as soon as we know, but for the moment there is no deadline for this information.
Thank you. Starting materials are currently not in scope of IDMP. However, if there is a SM variation, how does this translate into the EAF?
Maybe that one is also for me. So that we will need to discuss with the EAF. As far as I know, I haven't seen the starting materials in the EAF, but maybe I'm wrong. So that is something that we will discuss with them. And if as part of this analysis, we find that there's something needed, we will let you know. But again, we have not reached this discussion yet.
Thank you. Can we use the RMS term preparation of working cell bank also for a virus seed manufacturer?
Okay, so this for RMS. By looking at the definition, it doesn't seem to be the case. However, I would recommend that this person raises a ticket through service desk so that we can forward this to our inspections colleagues so that they can give us confirmation on this. And the other thing I want to mention is, which is precisely what I was mentioning earlier, we are about to finalize the latest review on manufacturing activity list, where this term preparation of working cell bank can be found. So I would recommend that probably around this week or early next week at the latest, the list will be updated according to the latest decisions taken. I know that some discussions have been taking place around the use of virus seeds. So it might be that a solution is given with the newest update. So please look out for those changes in the next 5-6 days, I would say at the most. If this is not resolved, please feel free to contact me or to raise a ticket through service desk so that we can follow up with inspections colleagues if this is not addressed with the update.
Okay, thank you. SMS question. If I have a flag 0 substance, is it mandatory updating the substance in XCVMPD with a corresponding flag 1?
So it is not mandatory, but it is highly recommended. So substances that have SVG flag 0, so they are mainly duplicated substances that have a replacement substance, and we will at some point, not yet defined, we will nullify all these duplicates with SVG flag 0. But in order to do that, we need first to have all the products in XCVMPD relinked to the replacement substance. So if you do this update now, then we don't have to do it in your behalf in the future. So you have a bit more control on this update. But if you don't want to do it, then we will plan a data fix. We will communicate in advance when this data fix will be performed, which products will be impacted, which substances are being updated by which replacement. So we will communicate this exercise in advance, but you have the option of doing it now if you choose to do so.
Thank you. We need to register radiolabeled substance in EMA's database. IB is currently unavailable. Can we use MAH declaration form and omit molecular formula, company code provided? Consider non-radiolabeled substance is already registered.
So in the absence of the investigator brochure or the investigational medicinal product dossier, you can indeed use the marketing authorization holder declaration form. The molecular formula itself is not essential. However, the systematic name, so the chemical name, always needs to be provided for all chemicals, even if they are non-radiolabeled or radiolabeled. The systematic name always needs to be provided. It will not necessarily be disclosed, so it can be registered as a restricted substance name. So it will only be kept in SMS. It will not be visible in any consuming system, but we need this information to ensure that there are no duplicates in SMS.
Thank you. We still have a lot of examples where a manufacturer cannot be found in the OMS part when entering manufacturers in PMS. However, the manufacturer can be found in OMS in the SPOR portal. Are there any news about this?
Have you opened a ticket for this? Because I'm not aware that this is an issue. At least if you are able to find it in the SPOR portal, you should also be able to find it in the PLM portal. So please open a ticket because the team will check what's the issue and they will let you know what to do.
Thank you. Can you explain how the OMS organization duplicate merge can impact on existing EMA platform users, PLM, ESNP, RMP, PMSUI, etc.? We have users with the access no longer available for the given MAH org ID due to a records merge.
Okay, I can try to explain what's happening. So the issue comes when there is a merge among two organizations in OMS. So you know that in OMS, whenever there is a merge, there is an ID that survives, and the other one is still capturing the history, but is not surviving. So you will not be able to see this ID, this log ID or org ID. In some cases, when there is a merge, the products are linked to the log ID or the org ID that is not surviving. Okay. In those cases, you cannot access or you cannot request the access to the PLM portal or EAF through IAM for this org ID or log ID, then you will not be able to see your products. And that's the issue that you have, that you will not be able to use those products in EAF, or you might not be able to find the products in Iris for ESMP or for RPM. That's that's mainly the biggest issue that we have when we have these merges. What we are trying to do is address the tickets one by one. In those cases, we are trying to assess if it's the correct location. Then we manually change the location of the product, the log ID or the org ID of those products. And that way you will be able to have access. That is manually, and obviously we are doing an internal assessment with all the platforms that are affected on how this should be handled, how merges should be handled by the consuming systems, so this issue doesn't replicate anymore. But yeah, that's the main issue that we are having right now.
Thank you. Is CRO details mentioned for non-biological medicinal products too?
That I need to check. I don't know the answer. I would need to check internally, and then maybe I can reply to the question directly in a Slido, because I don't know the answer.
Okay, I will leave it open then. Wouldn't it make sense to maintain the container size in PMS structure package data rather than just the number of packages? So 1 per 100 milliliters bottle instead of just 1 per bottle. The volume specification cannot be selected from the drop-down list.
Well, if you see the chapter 2 of the guidance, there are different places for different values. So what we are tracking right now, it's only the structure pack size, which is 1 bottle. And in IDMP and in PMS, we will have the place to put the 100 milliliters. You have the manufacturer item, and there you will be able to say, okay, this is, we are manufacturing 100 milliliters, and you will be able to put it there. But the enrichment is not open for this section, so that's why we cannot capture this for the moment. But at some point, you will be able to include this information.
Okay, thank you. Concerning API intermediate, is it only required to list the manufacturer or also the testing sites?
I think it's also the testing site. So you have the list of all the manufacturers that you need to provide in chapter 3 of the EUIG. If you open this chapter, at the end, you have a table with all the MBOs that are needed. There you also have the ones for the intermediates, and I don't know by heart, but I think it's also needed for the testing. But please review chapter 3. You have the table, and everything is explained there.
Thank you. I had raised a ticket for a substance registration chemical, provided chemical name, company code, molecular formula in the substance request form. However, the CAS number was asked to provide in the ticket. Do we need to provide CAS number as well for registering chemical substances?
Yeah, so the CAS number is not a mandatory element in the substance request form, but it does help in certain circumstances. So we don't ask the CAS number on a release, but for some chemical substances that are more complex and there are some issues with the systematic name provided. So in those cases, we will ask the CAS number, and if you do have a CAS number already, then it does help the registration process.
Thank you. PMS user interface. When inserting manufacturers and their functions in PLM, the denominations of the functions are different in the drop-down menus than in the exported Excel files. We use the files to review the draft information. This makes review difficult. In Excel, no difference between QC for FP and API.
Yeah, that's a known issue that we are trying to fix. So because in the dropdown, we have the short names from RMS, and in the BI, we have the current name. So that's the difference. And this is something that we will fix.
Thank you. Does manufacturing operation start date for MRP or DCP product is end of procedure date? So the date will be common for RMS and all CMS?
Correct. Because the authorization is only one, is the one provided by the reference member state. Then the concerned member states, they are just ratifying and approving the translations of the SMPC and so on. But the approval is the one granted by the reference member state. So it's the end of procedure, the date when you need to provide this. I mean, it's the start date of MBO.
Okay, thank you. If a manufacturer produces prednisolone sodium phosphate, only the salt is added, should the company be listed as a manufacturer of the active substance or as a manufacturer of an active substance intermediate?
So I don't know the answer, and I would recommend you to, if that is an MRP or DCP, I would recommend you to ask the NCA. The idea is, because we are not part of the assessment, we don't receive the EAFs. What would you put in the EAF if you need to provide this information? Would you include this as an active substance manufacturer or the intermediate? I would assume that the NCA could also help you to define this role. And if it's a centralized procedure, you can also open a ticket and we can check internally. But from the PMS team, we cannot really tell you which one should be used. So yeah, I would recommend you to maybe check with the NCA if you don't have this information in your dossier.
If I have UDRA GMDP2 certificate for a manufacturer in EEA, one GMP and another one is a MIA, is it correct to use the MIA number for MBO's enrichment?
Well, I need to, sorry. That I again need to check internally. I know that in the in chapter 2 it is explained which is the certificate that you need to provide. But I would need to check. I think it's the MIA one that you need to provide, but I need to check. I don't want to reply because I don't know the answer.
I keep it open. How to know what is the MEDRA code for one of our indications? How is it possible to have access to the MEDRA code list?
So the MEDRA list is freely available for browsing in RMS. Now, you won't see MEDRA. It's actually Medical Dictionary for Regulatory Activities. So you can access the RMS portal and then navigate to the MEDRA list and see all of the terms within it. Now, the main code that you will see is the RMS ID. But if you drill down to the actual term level, you will also see the actual MEDRA code within the mapping section. Yeah, I also recommend to browse it in hierarchical view so that you can find the term that you need in an easier way, and all of that can be done in the RMS portal. So I hope this addresses the question, but otherwise, please feel free to follow up offline.
Okay, thank you. So we have no further questions for the moment.
So I just have maybe for this CRO. So if you go to RMS, the definition of this question of this MBO says that the CRO is the one performing the studies to make sure that the generic drug has the same bioequivalence or bioavailability that the originator. So I would expect that if you are the holder of a generic product, then you need to perform a bioequivalence study, and therefore you will need to provide the CRO details for in PMS, because you will have done a bioequivalence study, and therefore you have a CRO performing this, and you need to provide this information.
Okay, thank you. Can you please suggest what points we need to keep in mind while doing PMS API testing for PMS API integration for IDMP? Also, suggest the document which we need to follow if any document is available.
So maybe you can come on Thursday. We have the PMS Q&A document. We have a Write PMS API documentation. There is a link in our webpage where you can find all the information on how to connect, how to test, which are the fields that you can submit and everything. So I would suggest you to check this information. This document is actually a web page. It's a link to a web page where you can see all the information.
Indeed, yeah. When will the data export to Excel in PLM be enabled?
It's already enabled. So maybe. So it's already enabled because you can export all the information that is on the BI reports. The only thing is we have changed a bit the UI, so the user interface of these reports. You need to scroll all the way to the right to be able to see the end of the table. There you have the 3 dots where you can click and you will be able to export the information that you have. So the BI for manufacturers, the BI for the ATC codes, you just need to scroll all the way to the right. Then we have the public report in the PLM portal. I don't know if you are referring to this one. This one, you cannot export it. We are working internally to be able to have an export, and most likely next year, Q1, we will be able to have an export of this information. But the ones that are private, the ones that are related, related to your products, you can already export them. Just go all the way to the right and you will see the 3 dots.
Okay, can you share the link of the website you were just mentioning? So the PMS webpage, I mentioned, right? So yeah, we can definitely add this to the Slido. No, or
Yeah. So
no.
maybe I know you like these things. I can. Sir, 1 second.
Oh yeah.
I actually thought this might refer to the Medra list, so I put the link to the Medra. So just ignore it if that has nothing to do with it.
Okay, so for the PMS one, if you go to Google and you put PMS EMA, you will be redirected to the substance and product management. This is our web page. You here have the implementation guide, for example. And you have here all our chapters. There is chapter 6, where you have the chapter 6. This one is for the API. You also have the API version 2 specifications, and you have here the Write PMS API. So if you click here, you have access to the Write PMS API. You have all the documentation. It's very technical. So, I mean, but that's the way this guidance should be. So please have a look. And
Marco, since we are there, we can also show the where the API testing documentation is located. So you should go to PMS implementation. Yeah. Then if you go to application programming interface, yeah. there you have.
Yeah, we have here the information. This is for the public API, the call for interest on the API. We will also explain this on Thursday. So yeah, you can just come to the webinar, I mean, the Q&A on Thursday.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so I'll switch back to the questions. Okay, so here. If there is a minor change in the manufacturer's address, the manufacturer's start date does not need to be updated. This update is only required when a new inspection is necessary.
So I think that is also related to PMS. Maybe we have a start date on when this manufacturer was approved. In theory, you just need to provide when this manufacturer was authorized for the first time. If there is an inspection, we don't need to update this information because it's only related to the start date when this manufacturer was approved for the first time.
Thank you. Does all questions and answers of all Q&A sessions are documented, recorded, and where can we get it? So as mentioned at the beginning of the session, this session is being recorded. The recording will be available usually in a couple of weeks, but maybe or even sooner. Depends on the audiovisual team load. Now it's before the holidays, so of course we'll try to have it by this week, but probably it will be available early next year. So the first location where the recording is made available is EMA YouTube channel. Then after it gets published there, we also publish it on the specific event page on EMA website. Then in terms of documentation, of course, we are not able to note down all questions from all clinics, since the cadence of the clinics happen quite often every month. But what we do usually is after we had a few monthly clinics, we check which were the most frequent questions, and if we see that a specific topic is particularly raised, etc., we then document this on the FAQ documents we have. In particular, we have at the moment a PMS FAQ, which is active. We don't have one for SPORE at the moment, but we will see in the future. We'll consider in the future to also have one, including all the most frequent questions from these clinics. Okay, hope this answers your question. Okay, this one was already on hold. Then we have a next question. The authorized dosed form you have in the first page of a PLM portal is the authorized pharmaceutical form or administrable dose form?
No, it's the authorized dose form.
Okay, thank you. Is distributor required to submit in PMS?
Let me check. I have the document open, and I think the answer is no. So I'm gonna share again. So I mean, we have time. So
yeah.
This one. So this is chapter 3 of the EUIG. And we have here, one of the sections is how to enrich the manufacturing business to the manufacturers and manufacturing business operations. What do you need to do for CAPs? What do you need to do for non-CAPs? And here we have the table with the different fields and the description and some information that is very useful. So I would also recommend you to have a look. And then we have the table with the MBOs that need to be provided to PMS. So for example, we have the manufacturer responsible for the batch certification, and this is something that you need to provide. Then we have also, for example, the manufacturing for the solvent or the diluent, processing operations or quality control. Then you also have the ones for the active substance related to the active substance. So there was a question before if you need to provide information on the quality control of the active substance intermediate. You see that for the active substance intermediate, you only need to provide information on the manufacturing process. So if this is done via a physical processing or a chemical synthesis or a biological process, and you don't need to provide information on the quality control. For the active substance intermediate, you need to do it for the active substance as such, but not for the intermediate. So the answer was already in this table. The same for the distributor. This distributor is not, you cannot find it in this table. So therefore, you don't need to provide this information to PMS. Okay, so yeah, obviously the RMS list for the manufacturing business operations is bigger because some of those values can be used in different systems or in different platforms. For PMS and also for EAF, these are the ones that are needed. We have just taken the same values as in the EAF. Okay, so again, chapter 3, you have all the information there.
Okay, thank you. Going back to the questions. Okay. Thus, for PMS, OMS, IDMP data submission, is there any mandatory training certification required?
Not yet. So for the moment, you only need to, you can just go to production. You can just provide the, I mean, if you have the role, the qualified industry role, you are able and you are allowed to submit information. There will be discussions in the future whenever we open the system fully, if we need somehow a certificate or any kind of training the same as we have for XCBMPD right now. We have not taken any decision yet, but for the moment, for these specific fields to support the SMP, there's no need of a training or certificate.
Thank you. For enrichment, which certificate number should be entered for mandatory operations when the manufacturer is FDA approved?
Yeah. So we received this question also via a ticket last week, and I replied. So for the moment, you can provide the one from FDA, but because I think sometimes this field is mandatory, so we don't want to block any submission, you can provide this information. Nevertheless, EMA is not using this this ID from FDA, the certificate number. So in the future, we will see if there is any change that we need to perform or not. But for the moment, in order not to block any submission, you can provide the one from FDA.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a timeline when the SVG finishes all validations? For example, some herbals are not validated, although they finished the validation for herbals since the last SPOR update webinar.
So for the first question, the more general one, so there is not a defined timeline for finish the cleansing of all the substance records. So we are currently about 50% cleansed, so halfway there, but still halfway to go. Regarding the herbals in particular, so the records have already been cleansed, all of them, so no changes will be formed on these records. Names are correct. It is just the SVG flag that has not yet been loaded due to some technical issues that are expected to be sorted this week. And then you will be able to see all the SVG flags variables as well.
Thank you. Guy, if a new GMP results in a change to the MIA should be updated MIA number and agency issue date be updated in PMS?
Yeah, that's correct. So all the data that you provide to PMS, the same way that the data that you provide to XMPD should be maintained. So changes to any of those fields, yeah, you need to perform. You can just go create an enrichment again, and you can change the certificate number. Same as if you withdraw a manufacturer, you need to go to PMS. You need to include the end date. Yeah, you need to maintain the data.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and no further questions at the moment. Meanwhile, just to note, I've launched the usual feedback survey on Slido, where you can rate this session from 1 to 10 based on how useful it was in answering your questions. And then you have an open text question where you could provide any additional feedback and suggestions for improvement. So we always read your comments, so I suggest you go check it out and just spend a couple of minutes leaving your feedback. Thank you. Next question. Chapter 2 has been updated so that the manufacturing authorization reference number is conditional, so needed when the manufacturer performs the listed MBOs under Chapter 2, 2.6. Is this required as other still publicly available Q&A documents state that this is optional?
Yeah, so Chapter 2 has been updated. Chapter 3 has also been updated, and it's also conditional. So, and that's the reality. The business rules on the product UI are also conditional. So, in principle, everything is aligned. I might need to maybe check the FAQ for PMS. I'm not sure if we actually have anything there. But yeah, Chapter 2, 3, and the UI and the product UI are aligned with this business rule of conditional. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Next question. When do you expect the critical medicines issue in PLM to be resolved?
So hopefully this week we have found the issue. We just need to, the technical team needs to now fix the issue that we have identified, and hopefully it will be done this week, but I cannot promise anything. If it's not this week, then it will be beginning of next year. I mean, we have identified what the issue is. We just need to fix it now. It's easy in principle, but we just need a couple of team members to align. So yeah, it might require some time.
Thank you. Have another question. Till the critical medicines issue gets resolved, which list should be referred for the latest ULCM products until then?
So first of all, the union list of critical medicines, union list of critical medicines has been updated last week. So there is a new list that we need to start with this. There are only, I think, 6 ATC codes that are new, so the changes are not really big. Then the BI report that we have in the product UI, it's only to support MA holders to identify faster which are their products under the union list of critical medicines. So again, it's only to support them with these activities. We agree is really useful, it helps a lot. But the fact that this BI report is not working doesn't mean that you are not able to identify which of your products are critical. You have the list of ATC codes published on the EMA website. You have the route of administration also linked to these ATC codes. So you should be able, and you can also use the other BI reports. You can filter by ATC codes. You can filter by route of administration. So with this combination, you should be able to identify which of your products are under the critical, the union list of critical medicines. So yeah, you need to know, okay, which are the critical ATC codes, which are the critical route of administrations, and then look in your products, which of them have this combination, and this will be your critical products. Hopefully this BI report will be fixed again this week, or yeah, otherwise will be first week of next year.
Thank you. The lower level term is not available in dossier. Shall we look into GMP certificates?
Well, I think there's a lot of missing information in this question. I would expect that this is related to the lower term of the manufacturing business operation. And that's also explained in chapter 3. If the lower term is not explained, is not captured in your dossier, or is not captured on your EAFs, like the EAFs you have been submitting with the life cycle of your product, then you can use the high level term. But again, review and read chapter 3. It's explained there. Like for legacy products, we accept the high level terms. For new products, you should know which is the lowest term, so you need to use them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so it seems there are no further questions for today. So just to say, we will leave this question here on hold and keep the slide open until we can reply in writing. So keep an eye on it. And I see we have a thank you message here. So I will link myself to this message and take this occasion to thank you all for joining, and wishing you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a happy New Year. Thank you, Pedro, Marcos, Jaume, and Isabel for replying to all the questions today. And so, yes, I wish to all of you a well-deserved rest, and see you back again here next year on 13th of January, or see you with Marcos on PMS Clinic and XVMPD Clinic next Thursday. Thank you all.